Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to the campus of the University of Southern Mississippi. We're in the Duff Athletic Center for one of our visits with the Director of Athletics at Southern Miss, Bill McGillis, and got a lot of different topics, Bill, to talk about today. But let's start off with the most recent, a tremendous final football game of the regular season for the Golden Eagles against Louisiana Tech. What an amazing job Jay Hopson and his staff did to get a team that had to overcome a lot of adversity, knowing they had to win that last game to become bowl eligible. But they went out there, took care of business. Great Friday, great Golden Eagle victory.
It was fantastic, and it was, I was so proud of the players, so proud of the coaching staff and our fans because people showed up. And to be honest, more than I expected in the day after Thanksgiving and some of the challenges we had in the 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the game. But I was really, really impressed with the fight that Coach Hopson and that staff instilled in our players. And there was a lot at stake, and Louisiana Tech was playing for the opportunity to host the conference championship game. I mean, it was a huge game for Louisiana Tech. Of course, we had the opportunity to go to a bowl game on the line. It was senior day. What a group of seniors. But I got a text or an email from someone late Friday following the game, maybe Saturday morning. And it said something about, I know you're the happiest guy in Hattiesburg right now. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm happy. But no one's happier than those players and that coaching staff. And, it was a testament to their drive, their courage, their will, their desire to win, their desire to play for each other. It was really neat to see and to have it all come together in the last regular season game when, we had never really quite got into a rhythm. You had that the second half against Kentucky when we had it rolling on both sides of the ball. And then the La Tech game was really the next time when it kind of all came together on both sides of the ball. It was fun.
It's always a lot of fun, too, for those seniors. And some of these guys have been here 5 years, some 4, some just a couple of years. But they all, in sort of their own unique way, have made contributions to Southern Miss football and will kind of go down in the history book. But it's neat to watch those guys, particularly to win that last game. That's something you remember the rest of your life.
It is. I think for those young men, it's really, really special. And I think for the other 80 or 90 guys in the program, it's really neat too because they wanted those seniors to go out with a regular season win at the end. I'm thinking back, John, to senior day itself and standing in the end zone and walking player by player by player by player for a handshake or a hug or a high five or a low five, whatever it was, and thinking about my conversations with each one of those guys. And every single guy that stood on that sideline truly made a contribution to us restoring our program, to a level of excellence. And they went through some highs and lows in that journey, including a coaching change, which can be difficult. And really I thought it showed remarkable resiliency. But when I think back, I had someone ask me the other day, what drives me every day? When I wake up in this job as AD, what matters to me most? And when I was asked that a couple days ago, I immediately started thinking about moments like senior day and sitting at my conference table in my office talking to a senior about his or her future and giving them a book so that things will help crystallize for them for their future. It's those moments of realizing that you can impact young men's lives and young women's lives that does drive me. And it kind of comes to culmination on senior day. When you're having that brief 5 to 30-second conversation with a young man, young lady, or their family. And it's a powerful moment for me. And again, it doesn't matter if it's Nick Mullins, who's started for 4 years and broken many, if not most, of our passing records here, or if it's a young man who was a non-scholarship player who played 3 plays in his career. to have the kind of success we want to have, the kind of success we have had in restoring this program to a highly competitive level, it takes a team. And Jay's done a great job with that, with this group. He's been consistent in the locker room through the highs and lows, through the tough days, the adversity of this season. I've been in that locker room after all the games, and his message is clear, it's consistent. He talks about what matters in life. And but nothing better than going out the way they did. Now we want to go out, with a bowl game and a bowl win.
Let me ask you one more thing about Senior Day. I know how invested you are in those seniors and all our student athletes here at Southern Miss. And I know the players always talk about the seniors, that it gets emotional when they go out there for that final time. I would think, as much as you're invested in these young men and women, when you go out there, the old athletic director gets a little bit emotional, a little maybe misty-eyed sometimes.
No, there is. When you embrace these guys, and you think about, and I came in with a lot of these guys, in 2013, and some of these guys came in 2012 and some in 13, but you think about what they've been through, but you have that embrace, and you have things flashing through your mind, and it is emotional. And then when you go in that locker room after the game and you sing that fight song, and you've been practicing it like you and I have.
That's right. We're going to do a duet one day on that.
That was an emotional locker room for me after the game. Back in 2013 when that streak got behind us and we beat UAB, that was an emotional locker room. But this locker room the other night, that was an emotional locker room for the old AD. And before we get into that bowl thing, I think we've got to comment on these because those fans that know you and I.
Do we get to keep these?
We'll have to ask Brent Jones if we can keep these things. But the great thing about these props is, and our producers apparently didn't know, neither John Cox or I has ever had a cup of coffee in our lives. A little hot chocolate, but they look good.
Yeah,
they look good. Let's talk about the bowl.
Yeah, bowl games. So of course all the seniors did was help us get back to a bowl game for the second consecutive year. So everybody's dying to know, what are some of the scenarios? What's it mean to this program to get back to a bowl game and sort of restore that? We're used to around here. I mean, that's what Southern Miss is used to, going to postseason.
It's who we
games.
are. It's who we are. And in the week or two leading up to that game, it was clear that we were not going to win the division championship and play for the conference championship. But that very, very important goal of going to a bowl game still was there. And I just wanted so much for these guys and so much for our fans to get the second straight game. We got the monkey off our back a year ago with a special season. Went and played the University of Washington, who's probably going to play in the college football playoff. We may have been their, other than the USC loss they had, we might be their toughest game in the last 12 months. But, I really wanted to just get this streak going again. And just keep adding one, and then a second, and then a third, and then a fourth, and we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And boy, the chips were down, and these guys came through. So, it's on a personal level for the guys, for the coaching staff. It means so much. For the future, it means a lot in terms of that extra 15 days of practice time that Jay can now have with the players, and and help them develop and help the team get better, and for the guys to have one more chance to set foot on the field, those seniors. Will Freeman after the game over Louisiana Tech, John, I don't know if you noticed, but he came to the post-game press conference in his uniform, and he didn't want to take it off. And that's what that means to a lot of them. And a bowl game, same thing. So I want them to have a fantastic experience. I want our fans to have a fantastic experience. I think it has an impact in recruiting for sure, to be able to go into the off season. And this is crunch time in recruiting right now. Jay's on the road and trying to bring some great players home with them. And to be able to go into a home or a school and talk about your second straight bowl game, and the long history of bowl games and bowl tradition at our place makes a difference. Kids want to go where they can win. you know you can win at Southern Miss. We've been winning for 100 years. And this game will reinforce that. You get to play on a national stage, so people who were not able to see us during the regular season have a chance to see us in the postseason. More likely than not, the game's on ESPN or one of the ESPN channels. That's important. And, you know, it's a celebration of a lot of things, and it's a launching point for the 2017 football season.
Scenarios. Now, there's a lot of scenarios, but the one thing that's been consistent about Southern Miss in those bowl years is we travel as well as just about anybody. Our fans love to go and support our teams at bowl games, and I know whatever the scenario plays out to be, that's an important aspect of it.
It really is. That's an impression we want to make and leave this year on all of the bowl officials, not just the game that we go to. The bowl games are important to college athletics, and the system that we have, as competitive as it is, I mean, there are obviously a large number of bowl games, but it's very competitive to get into particular games. It's very competitive for a conference to secure the bowl affiliation agreements that they want. They have to be renewed every couple of years, and so how Conference USA schools support those games is really important. We do have a history of supporting games well. It's going to be very, very important to our future at Southern Miss that we support this game wherever we go. And the bowl officials realize if you're in, you know, one destination versus another, you're going to draw differently. But they have expectations at each one of those games that we travel well, and so that's our intention. And Sunday afternoon, probably between 3 and 4 Central Time is when our destination will be known and officially announced. You know, up until a couple of years ago, they kind of rolled out the bowl invitations. A lot of times, as you remember, they were extended in the locker room right after a game. Today, there's very few of those. There's an exception for the Bahamas Bowl because that's an international game, to announce that one early and extend those invitations early. Congrats to Old Dominion on that invitation. What a great season they had. But the other 6 bowl-eligible schools in Conference USA, we won't really, truly, positively know until Sunday. I mean, I've got a pretty darn good idea right now where this thing is headed and how it's going to come together. But we won't know for sure until Sunday morning. The games on Saturday have to be played for everything to be sorted out. But there'll be a national TV presentation of all the bowls at one time, which is kind of the new model. They announce the college football playoff participants first, and then they announce all of the other bowl games. We've got great destinations, great trips for fans in this conference, some close, some far. The Bahamas Bowl is set, as we mentioned, and you know, I think that worked out well for us. I don't think it was our time, you know, to be in the Bahamas, but you've got, you know, the opening weekend of bowl season. You've got, of course, you've got New Orleans opening day. That's an 8 o'clock Central game, so it's prime time. You've got the game in Albuquerque, which is against the Mountain West. And I want to come back in a few minutes to how the New Orleans Bowl matchup is set when we talk a little bit more about that. But you've got the game in Albuquerque, the Gildan Bowl against the Mountain West. You've got the game in Hawaii. Just before Christmas, you've got the game in Boca Raton. I think that's on the 20th this year.
Yes, it is on the 20th.
You know, which is a great matchup with the American Athletic Conference. You've got the game in Dallas, again, which is slated to be a matchup with the Big Ten, if they have enough bowl-eligible teams. So a great set of bowl games. But also, the thing that's a little bit of a wild card is there can be some horse trading between conferences. And the television executives, you know, weigh in on these matchups as well. In our conference, the way bowl matchups are determined, unlike the old days where the champion was designated to go to the Liberty Bowl or another bowl in a particular year, our conference, like many others, no longer has that model. So each bowl matchup is made by the commissioner of the conference, by the bowl game itself, by the television industry, and to a certain degree with input from each athletic director. Geography is taken into account. Matchups are taken into account. You know, that best will attract fans, that will be the best for TV. And a little bit like the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, which some people view as an exhibition, it's really not. The winner of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game gets home field advantage in the World Series. And tell me if that matters.
No, it matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
The results of this year's bowl games matter from a financial perspective because the way revenues in college football are distributed today, how your league ranks affects the revenue distribution. And the higher your league ranks, the more revenue that comes to the conference that then gets distributed to the schools. And those results are not determined in rankings until after the bowl games are played. And we can move the needle. We're trying to move the needle among the 5 conferences other than the 5 high resource conferences and move up in that pecking order a little bit. You know, we were second 2 years ago, third last year. It remains to be seen where we'll be ranked among those 5 this year, but we want to win these games. So all of those bowl games are on the table. You know, I think New Orleans is certainly a strong possibility, would be a great destination for Southern Miss. I think there could be some really appealing matchups there. I've got our staff gearing up to be well prepared for the New Orleans Bowl, but also to be well prepared if the selections go another way. And we'll have a scenario, a game plan ready for our fans with travel information, hotel information, ticket information, some bowl game social activities we've got planned. Regardless of which game we're going to be in, we will roll all of that out immediately after the show on Sunday, and our fans will have that information in front of them.
All right, let's go in another direction. Last weekend was also a very special time to honor this young lady that's on that mural behind us there, Tori Bowie, 3-time medal winner in the Rio Olympics last summer, gold, silver, and bronze. And I know you talked in your comments at the ceremony down at the Marshall Bell Track and Field Complex that, you know, we've had great athletes at Southern Miss, no question about that, but more kind of sports specific. This is a young lady who has brought great recognition to Southern Miss on the international stage. I mean, you can go around the world and ask people about some of the best sprinters or jumpers in the world, and Tori Bowie's name comes up.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I really like that about this new set that we've got. Yeah. We got Tori with us today, and you know, you talk about emotional moments for an athletic director or fulfilling moments for an athletic director. Last Saturday, honoring Tori, that was a really moving moment to me, and I know it was to our fans, and it was obvious how moving it was to Tori Bowie. And, you know, a woman who's won a gold, a silver, and a bronze has achieved at the level she did, coming back to her alma mater and having us plant that sign at the Marshall Bell Track and Soccer Complex and then honoring her at midfield, that mattered. That meant something to Tori Bowie. And, you know, we had more of a private ceremony at the track on Thursday morning, or I'm sorry, on Friday morning, John. But that's when it really struck me what it meant to her and what she meant to us. And you mentioned it, and I mentioned it on Friday. We've had some incredible athletes here. Hall of Famers, all-stars, longtime professionals, college Hall of Famers. Have we ever had one do it on a world stage like Tori Bowie?
I don't think so. Not to the level she has.
And I want our folks to realize that, how big that is. And this young lady's 25, 26 years old. I mean, her career is in front of her. She'll have an opportunity to be at the next Olympic Games and do more than she did this year. But she was a phenomenal athlete here, and it's such an amazing story. You chronicled it. Never sprinted at Southern Miss, was a great long jumper, national champion, our first national champion in an individual event. And then as a professional, converts to the sprints, and in just a few years is a world champion and an Olympic champion. She's got a very, very bright future. I think she's interested in addition to track, into the entertainment world, and I think there'll be opportunities for her there. She was a graduate, a 2012 graduate, the most important thing, earned her degree while she was here. And I thought, a shout out to Sonia Varnell, our senior woman administrator and senior associate AD. I thought Sonia just did a beautiful job of sharing a lot of insight into the growth of women's athletics at Southern Miss, into a lot of the behind the scenes story of Tori Bowie, of that small town Mississippi girl, and her journey throughout those 4 or 5 years here. It was really neat, and then to do it with our fans and to see the way our fans embraced her at the game, that was really special.
Brett Favre always talks about, he tells young kids, he says all the time that if you go to Southern Miss, you can do anything that you want to do in football, in his specialty. But Tori Bowie's a perfect example of you can come to Southern Miss and achieve all the dreams you want to dream. I'm sure she grew up maybe thinking, hey, one day I'd love to be in the Olympics, but that seems like it's way out there. But she came to Southern Miss, got great coaching, had the great facilities, and the next thing you know, she's representing the United States in the Olympic Games. So you can do anything here at Southern Miss.
No, that's absolutely right. And we talk about winning in the classroom, winning on the playing field, winning in the community. She did that. I talk to every prospective student athlete and their family that comes in here about that. And I always tell them, that, your heart, your gut instincts, other reasons may tell you that there's another school for you, a family reason, geographic reason, whatever. But when you leave this campus after your official visit or your unofficial visit, I hope you know that all of your dreams can come true at Southern Miss. And she's one more example of that. There's examples in industry, in broadcasting, in science, in medicine, in teaching, you name it, and certainly in athletics.
All right, let's talk about the fall sports. We've got a few more things we want to talk about. Fall sports, volleyball, tremendous season, men's and women's golf, a lot of success, soccer, cross country. I don't think I left one out, but I mean, all our sports in the fall, made progress, got better, challenged, some of them challenging for championships. And, that's got to be exciting as an athletic director to see those teams doing that.
It is, and I know it's exciting for a broadcaster and for our fans. We talked in the spring, John, and then in the summer as we led into the fall about what a great spring it was, and what a launching point for 2016-17 it would be, for our baseball program to go to the regionals again. And that proved to be the case. We had a really good spring, the best in probably a decade, and that's just carried on this fall. You mentioned those sports. In addition, our tennises had a real good fall. When you look at each one of them, I would argue, and I would win the argument, that every single sport at Southern Miss right now is better today than it was 3 or 4 years ago. And I include men's basketball in that, even though the results, win-loss-wise, have not been as strong as they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. That program is better today than it was at that time. And but before we get to the winter sports and basketballs, volleyball, 23-7, 24-7, a game away from the conference championship, which would have put us in the NCAA tournament. Amanda Berkeley's done a sensational job of just building. Stephanie Perdue capped an unbelievable career, one of the most unsung, underpublicized great athletes we've had. A 2-time all-conference athlete, probably going to work in the sports industry, wants to work in college athletics. Capped just a great career, but that's a young team. We had, 5 or 6 of those players recognized as all-conference players, all freshman players. We had the freshman of the year in Conference USA, the first team all-conference setter who's only a sophomore. So Amanda and her staff, Carlos and David, have just done awesome job, and they're just going to keep getting better. She's one of the better young coaches in the country. You know, she's only 3-4 years into her coaching career. Had only been an assistant for a couple of years before becoming a head coach. You mentioned the golf programs. Jerry Weeks, a good fall. Erica Brennan and that women's golf team, you know, 2 trophies that they brought home and put in my office. I love it. Thank you, ladies. Cross country, 4th place finish. Won the LSU Invitational, competed very well at the Alabama Invitational, swept the Louisiana Monroe, first 6 places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never heard of that.
Yeah, me neither.
You know, Aaron Kent and John Stewart moving that program in a great direction. Soccer, its most wins since 2003. First time with a winning record since 2003.
And that's a really young team there.
It is. And Mo's done a nice job. And just, again, with most of our sports, most of our coaches, they're building their programs on substance. They're authentic. It's not flash. And it's just a steady climb. The kids are having a very positive student-athlete experience. Incrementally, we're getting better competitively. And that's been fun. And I think our basketball seasons will go well also.
Real quick, talking about the fall sports, and I know this is kind of your philosophy. Jay Hobson kind of uses it in football, building it from the ground floor up. Bring those young kids in, teach them about Southern Miss, and let them get better in the 3 or 4 years they're here. And that's kind of what you want them to do, all those sports, to kind of build from the ground floor up.
It is.
No quick fixes.
Exactly. And you know, at Jay's opening press conference, I'm not sure that everybody'd like to hear this, but when Jay was hired at the press conference, he said it's not about the 2016 season. You know, and a lot of us, me included, were revved up about getting this championship in 2016. But Jay said it's not about the 2016 season. You know, it's about Southern Miss football. It's about the next 10, the next 20. And as I often mention, we're the winningest program in Mississippi the last 20 years. Bowl games, bowl wins, and overall number of wins. And Jay's going to do it for the long haul. And I do want to mention, because, you know, certainly when you lose a few games and go through the tough stretch that we did, you know, I'll get a couple letters, couple calls, couple texts, what have you. It's in the social media world, those things happen. I want our fans to know who wrote me, who called me, who texted me. I understand their frustration when you go through a stretch like that. I understand their passion. I'm at the same games. Coach Hobson's watching the same team, and so they're not alone. And I appreciate the passion. I appreciate how much our fans want to win. I came here because of how much Southern Miss fans care about our football program. So I don't want anybody to worry about how I react to that. But I do want to say, Jay Hobson's a very experienced, very successful head coach. Jay's been dissecting the program, the season, our personnel, as we've gone along week to week. And when we're at the finish line, he's going to continue to dissect everything. And the areas that we need to shore up and improve upon, that's going to happen. We got a good staff, a great head coach, good players, good returning players, good young players. We're not going away. We're going to get better.
All right, we talked basketball just a little bit before we wrap up, and both Doc Sadler, Joy Lee McNellis have, you know, there are people that want to be at Southern Miss, great coaches. They've been successful just about everywhere that they've been. They've got a couple of big things coming up. We've got a doubleheader on December 10th at the Coliseum. The Lady Eagles against Mississippi State, a nationally ranked team. Doc's team playing Tulane. And then the men playing Mississippi State in Jackson, the start of a series there with Mississippi State. First time we've played them, I guess, since the NIT in 2001. First time in the regular season since almost 21 years ago. So that's really exciting.
It is. And, you know, one thing, John, I want to mention on the women's side related to women's basketball, but all of our women's programs, you and I are going to have a special announcement within the next few days or week related to a women's athletic initiative that will be the first of its kind in the country. And can't say more yet because we got to dot the I's and cross the T's on a couple things. But I'm really, really excited about something that's coming for every women's program that we have here. Joy's team, I think, you know, is off to a good start. She's got one of the smaller teams in America, we, you know, that team that she has right now, she likes to say, and I've seen it, is all about the hustle. They are fun to watch. They get up and down. They play with great intensity. and they're going to scrap. And I think they're going to enjoy some success this year. And then, and as you mentioned, huge game with Mississippi State. Mississippi State's going to come in as a top 10, probably a top 5 ranked team. They'll be a team that has a chance to go to the Final Four, the women's Final Four. So that's going to be very, very exciting and important, that game on the 10th. Big games for men's basketball as well. You know, they'll go into the weekend, I think, at 3-2 and have had some good wins. But I want to address that too, because it's going to be a building process in men's basketball, and there may be frustration along the way for Coach Sadler, for that team, for our fans, for our veteran broadcaster, for the AD. But you know, that Doc Sadler has 17 players on his bench. I looked at the bench at our last game. There's 17 guys down there. You know, he's got a good, hard-working, full roster of young men right now. He's going to keep adding pieces to the puzzle, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get to a high level of competitive success. But we're going to keep growing, keep building. Our best player hasn't played yet, and I think people have forgotten about Kari Price, who's as good a guard as there is in the league. Hopefully we'll get him back for his senior year. And then there's 2 very, very good transfers sitting out to go with the guys that we have. So I'm really optimistic about where Doc will take the program. I'm excited about the series with Mississippi State. I'm excited for our fans in Jackson. But we need everybody in Hattiesburg to make their way up to Jackson for that game also. And then both those teams travel, the women to Vegas over the holidays, the men to Hawaii over the holidays, and then they open up conference play, you know, on December 30th on the women's side and on New Year's Day on the men's side with La Tech. So big opportunities in front of them to start the conference season and lead us into a big 2017.
Bill, it's always a lot of fun to sit down and visit with you. It seems like it goes by so fast. There's so many topics and so many exciting things to talk about that are going on at Southern Miss, not only in athletics, but the university as a whole. But always a lot of fun to sit down with you. We're looking forward to that bowl announcement on Sunday, and a great destination wherever it might be for the Golden Eagles, and great winter of sports, a great spring of sports here around Southern Miss.
It has been, and you know, last week was Thanksgiving, and we had a lot to be thankful for. I want our fans to know how appreciative I am, how thankful I am, what a difference they make for our student athletes and our coaches. You know, I think sometimes all of us, the fan in us, you know, we come to a game, we enjoy watching it, but we don't realize how important maybe that is to the coaches and the players to show up, to be present. To all of our Eagle Club members, thank you for the difference that you've made. Thank you for all of our football season ticket holders and those that were not season ticket holders but able to come on an individual game basis. We had a lot of exciting moments throughout the football season. We go into this holiday period. We've got a holiday party, John, for our Eagle Club members, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll get that information out to all of our fans, and that will be exciting. But I don't ever want to have one of our visits without thanking our fans and letting them know how important they are to us.
It's always neat too. I always carry this coin, and it's amazing. Whatever topic we talk about, it's funny how all 3 of these things, winning in the classroom, winning on the playing field, winning in the community, all sort of are kind of intertwined there, no matter what the topic is. So that is Southern Miss nowadays. Those three W's right there.
And to the top together is what it's about. It's the way forward.
Bill, have a great bowl season. Have a great Christmas for you and your family, and we'll look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you, John.
All right, our athletic director, Bill McGillis. It's an exciting time around Southern Miss, and as Bill said, we need you to be a part of it. Whether it's a bowl game, a basketball game, whatever the event is, we need you to be there and show that black and gold spirit, that black and gold pride. Thanks for being with us, everybody. Have a great holiday season. We'll see you next time when we sit down with athletic director Bill McGillis. Southern Miss to the top.